I'm here today with State Representative Sarah Peak from the 4th Barnstable District, Orleans, Eastham, Wellfleet, Truro, and Provincetown. Sarah, this will be your second term if you're successful.
That's right. Right.
What are the issues that you've been working on up at the legislature?
Well, first of all, it's been an exciting first term. Looking forward to re-election in November, and the breadth and depth of the issues is just incredible. I mean, everything from individual constituent needs. There's probably been close to 400 people who have called my office needing some sort of help in some way with state government, and largely, most of those people we've been able to reach out a helping hand to, and that is incredibly rewarding. Of course, transportation is a major issue. You and I have worked close.
Yes,
we were able to get some money in a supplemental budget. Now we're just waiting for the governor to release it. Heard this week, by the way, that that release should be happening soon. Fought hard in the state budget to get an additional bump up in the funding for that. So we're always fighting for public transportation. Did some work on behalf of Cape Air in the state budget, hoping to keep some tax exemptions in place on airline parts. And most recently, working with the ferry operators to make sure that they can continue to run. So I guess when you represent sort of a geographically remote place, transportation becomes important. Environmental issues also, and issues around fisheries. The vibrancy and vitality of our economy, again, working with the people who really work and live here to make sure that they can continue to stay here, afford a place to live, have a decent paying job. Reaching out to again, with the local fishermen, with some of our lobstermen, to fight back unfair rules that the state was trying to sort of foist upon them. And then I guess for me, the most exciting thing is I'm standing here today. I got home at 3 in the morning this morning from the State House. We just finished.
Passed the budget.
Yes, we passed a budget, finished 5 days of debate, and I'm happy to say I came home with $600,000 in my pockets. That's going to go directly to the district. So I'm feeling pretty happy about that right now.
Yes, in talking to people around the district, they've been really impressed at how much of an impression you have made as a freshman legislature. Usually you go up there and you're humble and so on, but you obviously have taken the bull by the horns and really managed to accomplish a lot. And but you do have some opposition, I understand. And you'll be running an active campaign, and we'll see you throughout the district?
Yes, sure will. I'm going to be out knocking on doors and meeting people. But I have to say, the number of people that I have met I thought when I ran, I knew a lot about the issues and a lot about the district. But that knowledge and the number of folks that I have had contact with has just grown so enormously. And whether it's in areas of the arts and culture and helping people out, or Outer Cape Health Services helping to deliver services through their community-based health center, I've learned so much. I'm going to continue to do my job, because what's most important, I don't want to let politics get in the way of serving the people of the 4th Barnstable District. But I know that I've worked hard. I think I've done some great things, and I'm happy to talk about those out on the campaign trail.
Well, that's good. Well, I'm sure that the people that sent you up there appreciate the work you've done, and they'll return you to another term up in Beacon Hill and to do it again. Okay?
Great. And I would ask for your vote, and I'd ask for your support. And if you have any questions or think of things I should be doing differently, please get a hold of me. www.sarahpeak.org. 508-487-5694 is my district number. Or if it's a matter having to do with state business, give me a call at the State House, 617-722-2210. Thanks.
Thank you. Hi, I'm here today with Sheila Lyons from Wellfleet. She's her town's representative to the County Assembly of Delegates, and now she is a candidate for County Commissioner in Barnstable County. So Sheila, what made you decide to make this move for a County Commissioner?
Well, first of all, I just want to say that I'm so glad to be running, because now I'm happy to be running because I'm on this side and you're on that side. You're taking my job that I usually do run. So this is really good. What is making me run? Well, there is an open seat. Actually, there are 2 open seats in for contention.
Right,
and I have served on the Assembly of Delegates with you, as we both know. And I just felt that in watching the commissioners and learning more closely, up close, regional government, that it was time for a new direction and a fresh perspective to come in on it, and I really feel that I can bring that. I feel that there's some issues coming down the pike for us, that there's questions of job growth, economic growth, and there is much talk of renewable energies and green industries. There is, I believe, an expansion of human services, which I don't think has been serviced very well. I believe in openness of government, and by that I mean more than just putting cameras in the commissioner's office. I think the commissioners need to get out in front of subjects, out in front of the topics that are facing us as a region, and bring those to the people and engage them and get feedback from the public, not just sort of dictating what their vision is without any input. So
yeah, I know that one of the issues that's brought up is one of the issues that's brought up is the fact that the county commissioners are not televised, and it's now we're considering whether to have another appropriation to put them out there so that people can see their county government in action. How do you feel about that?
I feel very strongly that that's what should be happening. There is not a record, really. There is, if anybody wants to go into the minutes of the commissioners, there is a listing of actions that were taken, but there's no listing of how the votes were cast. There's no minutes of discussion that took place to have these decisions made. And let's face it, you've been in that office, I've been in that office, and that is where the decisions are made, and that's where the discussion happens. And is there some discussion that is going to be there that, you know, it's maybe felt better to be behind closed doors? That's not what our government is. We have open government, and the people have the right to know, and they have the right to engage in that. And quite frankly, I think that they should have those meetings in the assembly chambers. It's too small, it's too dark, and it's uninviting. So I think that, but again, even more than what goes on in that chamber, it needs to be out. The commissioners, I believe, in this, I think we've hit a new level. We have a great county, we have great people working for the county, and I think that we need to bring it to another new level where we together figure out how our resources are going down, our problems are growing. We need to work together in solving and charting the course of where we're going to go in our future.
Now, you served with me on the county committee on human services, and unfortunately, we've had to reduce our budget from about $500,000, which we granted to human service agencies just a few years ago, to now where they're zero funded due to the lack of funds from the Registry of Deeds, the economic downturn. Do you think that the county can continue to service, to supply funds and support for human service agencies around the state?
I think we are going to have to, because I think that the problems as our resources, I mean, everybody's having economic problems right now. We're having gas trouble, we're having food shortages, we're having job shortages. As those problems, basic kitchen table needs rise, the human services needs also rise. So it's not really a matter of can we have to. We have to be able to help those most in need. And a lot of times it's just helping people maintain a sense of dignity, because let's face it, when you feel like you cannot feed your kids right, or you're scrimping, and it's a humiliating experience, and that leads to other feelings about yourself, and we have to make people realize that this isn't their fault necessarily. We got to help them out and get them back on the track.
Now I'd like to kick off the program with a few words from our junior Senator John Kerry.
What an extraordinary energy there is in here tonight. I think we have to begin by thanking the person who helps to put it all together and leads this great effort. Jim Mahoney does an absolutely superb job. Thank you, Jimmy. Jim asked me if I get interrupted the way he gets interrupted, and I didn't have a chance to answer. He said, yes, but when I get interrupted, they get tased. We won't go there tonight. Anyway, what a pleasure to be here with all of our elected officials. Particularly, I'm really honored to be here. I've been working with them very, very closely. It's a pleasure to see what they're doing to help move the state And I'm so glad to be here with our Lieutenant Governor, Tim Murray. And what superb leadership the State Senate is getting from an old friend of mine and of all of yours. She really is absolutely superb, as you all know, Terry Murray. And to all of the other electeds, you've all been introduced. Forgive me if I don't go back, because I don't want to take up that much time. I am not your keynote speaker tonight, and I'm grateful for the opportunity to be able to stop by here and say a few words. I know that, it'd be wonderful to be able to get to all 351 cities and towns as frequently as I would like to. But unfortunately, George Bush and company keep us down there trying to say no to half the bad things that they want to do and trying to fight to get them to say yes to all the good things they won't do. And believe me, that's a full-time job. I was thinking that tonight we're honoring that person who is the Democrat of the Year, which means the person who's done the most to help us win next November. It occurred to me it ought to be George Bush. But it's not. It's a great friend of all of ours, and I'll tell you, anybody who can pack the house the way he has tonight, bring the police chief with him, get enough tables that he gets a cheer bigger than anybody else in the room, that's somebody who deserves the Democrat of the Year award. Ladies and gentlemen, Bob Isidore. Yarmouth is so special, so terrific. Bob, thank you. And what a job he does. Thank you, Bob. He really does a great job. He is the glue that kind of keeps things together and make things happen, and all of you know that. And secondly, you're also honoring the Community Activist of the Year. And I want you to know, Paula Ashtino, as I walked in here, first thing she did, she grabbed me, and she said, Senator, we got to do something about these insurance rates on these homes that are happening out here. She's earned this award. She never stops. Paula Ashtino, thank you so much for what you do. Well, I just can't help but remark, it's good to see that all the Democrats here tonight are seated, which means that Howard Dean and the DNC had nothing to do with the evening, I want you to know. I come here, first of all, very grateful. I want to say a serious word. So many of you gave so much 4 years ago, and it's so hard to watch, obviously, what has happened as we witness the worst presidency in American history. And together, with your help, I'm proud of what we did. A lot of people don't always stop and see it, but we won very tough states, Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin, Minnesota, and places. And together we won 10 million more votes than any Democrat who has ever run for president. Together, we were able to turn states blue and move legislatures and help Governor Lynch in New Hampshire and 30 new legislators in Colorado and elsewhere. You all did everything possible but for 59,000 votes in Ohio. You gave money you didn't have. You gave time you don't have. I thank you profoundly for that effort, and I have to tell you, you did everything except move to Ohio. And I thank you for that. Thank you very, very much for that effort. I'll also tell you that I am humble about that 60 million votes I won. I won 60 million, which is more than any Democrat has ever run. They told me if I won 5 million votes, more than last time, more than Al Gore, I'd be president. So we doubled it, and we still didn't quite make it. But I got to tell you, I was really humbled when I saw that Sanjaya on American Idol won 5 million more than me. So, go figure. It's great to be back here on the Cape. Lieutenant Governor, will you please finish Route 132 someday soon? And it's good to be back here. I was here a few weeks ago when we did something important that made my heart sing, and Rob O'Leary was there and a few other folks. Billy Delahunt was there with us in Hyannis. We opened a state-of-the-art veteran center in Hyannis the other day that is going to help and reach out. It's going to reach out to every veteran who returns from anywhere in the world, but particularly Iraq and Afghanistan, and we're going to guarantee that never again do we allow warriors to be confused with the war. We're going to provide the service that we need to, and as we celebrate that Veteran Center opening, as Democrats, we also want to celebrate the remarkable, unbelievable service. I just came back from Pakistan, Afghanistan. Our troops are stunning, and they deserve our gratitude for what they're doing, despite how we feel about the war. I just want to share with you a few thoughts. This is as difficult a time as I've ever seen in the course of public life. I think it's tougher than it was when we had Richard Nixon and Spiro Agnew and the things that were happening then. Because we've never seen a group of challenges as clear and as serious. The consequences of not responding to, which are as devastating potentially as all of these are. Medicare, that goes bankrupt before Social Security, and yet this president chose to use the capital of his re-election and expend it on Social Security. Health care for children still, where we have 11 million children who don't have health care in this nation, which is unacceptable. Children who are being cut out of after-school programs on a weekly basis. You tell me, I haven't met a parent or a teacher or any representative in this state who's written me or Teddy Kennedy and said, by the way, we don't need after-school programs. But you know what? That's what's happening. They're cutting after-school programs. They're cutting safe and drug-free schools. They're even cutting the chief from Yarmouth is here. They're cutting the COPS program. And crime is going up. And there's not a person today who is the day is this unbelievably inept, corrupt administration in Washington, D.C., run by George Bush and Dick Cheney, that does the calling of Halliburton, but forgets about the calling of the American people, and we've had enough of it. And come this fall, we're going to change what's happening in Washington, D.C. Now, I know some of you have even said, okay, Senator, you asked for a Democratic Congress, and we elected a Democratic Congress, and we gave you the people that you need. Well, folks, I hate to say it, but we only have 51 votes in the United States Senate. Because of Joe Lieberman, sometimes we don't even have 50. So the fact is that every single thing that you want us to do, change the policy in Iraq and stop the war, pass an energy policy that actually makes sense and moves the incentives away from oil and gas and towards clean and renewable fuels and alternative energy. The things we ought to be doing to make tuition more affordable. The things we ought to be doing to lower the cost of health care, which is killing small businesses as well as individuals. All of these things, we understand them. It's not that we're not trying. But we've had more filibusters in the United States Senate in this 1 year than in the whole history of this country we've ever had in 2 years. And what we need to do is change the people who are there. That's why we got to elect Jeannie Shaheen in New Hampshire, and elect Tom Allen in Maine, and Tom Udall out in Colorado, Mark Udall in New Mexico. And I promise you, the reason I'm fired up and I'm looking forward to this election and I'm looking forward to going back and fighting is because I believe we're on the cusp of the first moment of truly progressive legislating if we win those seats. First moment of progressive legislating since Lyndon Johnson was president of the United States. We're going to win the presidency, we're going to win the House, we're going to win more senators, and we're going to start finally to address the concerns of the American people. Now, I just share with you very quickly that thanks to the trust you have given me, I am now chairman of the Small Business Committee of the Senate, which allows me to help an enormous number of our businesses in the state. I'm chairman of the Science, Technology, Innovation Subcommittee of the Commerce Committee. I'm number 3 on the whole committee. And we're able to deal with the money we need for the small business innovation research, create new jobs, do what we can to designate money. I'm chairman of the Mideast South Asia Committee, which is why I was in Pakistan and Afghanistan. Because I know, as you know, that we can have a foreign policy that actually protects the security of our country, not makes it worse. And I'm looking forward, like you are, to ending this era of arrogance of Abu Ghraib and Guantanamo and Iraq and an administration that's creating more terrorists, not less. We need to make America safer and stronger, and a Democratic president is going to help us do that come this November. So, it's a frustrating time. I just share with you. It's really frustrating to have a committee of one, a guy named Tom Coburn, who's the senator from Oklahoma, who stops almost every piece of legislation we're trying to get through. I passed, just to tell you how bad it is, I passed special legislation for small business disaster loan assistance to help people after Katrina, and got Mary Landrieu to help in others. And we're trying to direct money, emergency loans, for anybody anywhere in the country. A year ago, we passed that out of our committee 16-0, bipartisan. One senator, Tom Coburn's been holding it up because of the way the Senate works and what we do. Now, we're going to change that. We're trying to change that. But the bottom line, ladies and gentlemen, is I know it's frustrating to watch this, what looks like an adult food fight that's out of control in Washington, D.C. I believe we're on the brink of the biggest change we've had in years. We just passed this major ethics reform in the Senate. We are poised, as I said, to win these. I am guaranteeing you we're going to win a minimum of 4 new Senate seats and maybe 6 or 7 or 8. If we can put this together, then everything that you've been frustrated by is going to change. And I'll give you the biggest example of all. We passed an energy bill that was really exciting. We changed the entire balance of where we put our incentives for energy from oil and gas into wind, solar, renewables of various kinds. We had huge money in incentives for people to buy hybrids, to shift automobiles. We had a renewable portfolio standard for the country to be able to move to an X percentage, 20% of our electricity produced from alternatives by 2020. It was a great bill. We passed it in the Finance Committee. We brought it to the floor of the Senate, and who raised their ugly head? The people who had the biggest profits in this nation 2 years ago and last year. Oil and gas had $255 billion of profits 2 years ago, $155 last year. God knows what it will be this year at $110 to $120 a barrel. And we just thought maybe, just maybe, for the future of our nation, they could get by with only $230 billion of profit. They said no. And they actually got enough senators on the floor of the Senate to vote with them. That's what this is about. This is about restoring our democracy. I don't know how many of you have been watching the John Adams miniseries. It's absolutely spectacular. And every time I watch it, it brings to life what Terry Murray and Tim and the rest of us are trying to do in modern times. But this is a young experiment that we're all blessed to be part of. And it only works when you get Bob Isidore's and Paula's and the rest of you engaged in the way that you are. It's a blessing. When Ben Franklin walked down those steps out of Constitution Hall in Philadelphia, this woman, after they voted, this woman walked up to him and said, "Tell us, Dr. Franklin, what do we have? A monarchy or a republic?" And he looked at her and he said, "A republic, if you can keep it." That's our challenge. And right now we have a kind of oligarchy where all these powerful forces are stripping you and the rest of the American people, and particularly the middle class and people struggling to get into it, of their rights and of their dreams and of their opportunities and of all of the guarantees of the Declaration of Independence, not to mention what they're doing to the Constitution as they strip it with their habeas corpus and listening and eavesdropping and other things. We have a challenge. And we're up to that challenge. I can tell from the energy that's here tonight and the excitement that's here tonight. So let's just remember what we can do, the power we have. I remember when I demonstrated against the war back in the 1970s, people would shout certain things at us, and thank you, but sometimes they get mad at us, and they challenged our patriotism then just as they challenged it 4 years ago. They'd look at us and say, "Hey, haven't you ever heard of the old saying, 'My country right or wrong, and we'd look back at it and say, yep, we had it. My country, right or wrong. I believe in that. When it's right, keep it right. And when it's wrong, make it right. That's what we're going to do. Thank you, and God bless. Thank you.